Imagine what would happen if you decided to quit working. How long can you make it on the money you still have? I only question you as to what prosperity entailed. Robert Kiyosaki is an American investor, businessman, author, motivational speaker, and financial analyst who has amassed a net worth of an estimated $80 million in recent years. Do you want to learn something fascinating? He did not come from an affluent family. In actuality, his family was typical of those who work but lacked the finest financial knowledge and often faced financial difficulties. Why working hard doesn't make you rich? And how did Robert end up being wealthy today? Let's look at what he describes in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of his best-selling books. Hello everyone, welcome to Finance Wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about why working hard doesn't make you rich. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you're new to this channel, do like and subscribe to the channel. In April 1947, Robert Kiyosaki was born in Hilo, Hawaii. At 9 years old, little Robert was enrolled in the same public school that the wealthy family's kids attended in 1957. There were many physicians, businessmen, and bankers in his town. Robert anticipated that the wealthy kids would distance themselves from him, since his family couldn't afford their latest toy and bike collections. So Robert one day asked his PhD holding father, who had also earned good degrees from numerous colleges, "Dad, can you teach me how to become rich?" Unfortunately, despite being wealthy himself, his father had no idea what to say. So he said, "Well, use your mind, son. Remain in school and get high grades, so you may land a career that is safe and secure." His poor dad will really be his true father. He wasn't indigent at the time. In fact, he was earning a lot of money. But eventually, his financial situation deteriorated. Little Robert now has a buddy called Mike, whose father is known as Rich Dad, and who has begun teaching Robert and his son Mike how to really become wealthy. Rich Dad wasn't particularly wealthy at the moment, but he quickly rose to become one of the richest men in Hawaii. What did Rich Dad teach Robert then? These kids' wealthy father instilled a solid financial foundation and other crucial values in their brains. The first thing you should learn is a distinction between an asset and a liability, as well as the need to purchase assets. This is all you truly need to know and comprehend if you want to be wealthy. As you can see, the wealthy accumulate assets, whereas the poor and middle class accumulate liabilities. Though sometimes we mistake this for assets. Simply said, not understanding the difference between an asset and a liability is the main reason people suffer financially. Do you even understand what an asset or liability is? Something that puts money in my pocket is a valuable asset. Something that depletes my bank account is a liability. Let's attempt the cash flow pattern of a typical person as an example. This individual's costs include items like food, clothing, entertainment, and transportation. He receives his money through a job. Unfortunately, he has no assets, but he does have liabilities. Things like mortgages, taxes, credit cards, loans, and believe it or not, the house, that continually drain his bank account. Let's now examine how the cash flow pattern really works for the wealthy. Instead of trying to increase their income from their regular work, which is now their main source of income, they purchase and hold assets that generate passive income for them. That's why working hard doesn't make you rich, but passive income will. The term passive income refers to revenue that may be earned without exchanging your time for it. In other words, you might make money while you sleep. Businesses that don't need your presence, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, income-producing real estate, royalties, notes, and anything else with value that generates revenue are examples of assets. As was previously said, Poor Dad was earning a respectable salary from his profession, but he was never able to invest since his costs always appeared to exceed his earnings. As a consequence, his liabilities such as his mortgage and credit card obligations increase over time. This is due to the fact that assets are less valuable than liabilities, and income equals expenses, which is regrettably what caused dear old dad to be in debt long after he died away. Rich dad, on the other hand, has an income that exceeds his expenses because his assets are bigger than his obligations as a consequence of a life committed to investing and limiting liabilities. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. In essence, this is the cause of the affluent growing wealthier. Their assets create more revenue than they need to meet costs, with the remaining money going back into the asset column. The income increases as the asset column rises, and vice versa. Even if both fathers put forth a lot of effort, they have different attitudes and viewpoints. One father counseled diligent study in order to get a job at a respectable organization. The second piece of advice is to do your research well so you can choose a reputable retailer. One parent said that having children was the reason he wasn't wealthy. One said that since I had your children, I must be affluent. One advised playing it safe and not taking a risk when it came to money. The other added, learn to control your risk. One person said, I can't afford it. The other said, how am I going to afford that? Both men had a great regard for education and learning, but they had different ideas about what was crucial to learn. Robert learned from his wealthy father that the two emotions of fear and greed control people's lives on a permanent basis. The cycle of waking up, going to work, and paying expenses is maintained as a result. Get up, go to work, and pay your bills. Fear has them in this trap of working. Earning money, working, earning money, and hoping fear will go away from not having money. But it's one of the reasons why working hard doesn't make you rich. They emotionally respond rather than rationally responding to the fear. Another feeling that drives individuals to labor for money is desire, which some people refer to as greed. They want money because they believe it will make them happy. But the happiness that money gives is sometimes fleeting, necessitating further funds in order to experience greater happiness, pleasure, comfort, and security. You know, a lot of individuals are fervent about going to school for a greater possibility of landing a high-paying career because of the same fear and desire. But don't give up. Although vital, a career and education won't exactly help you overcome the dread. You need to understand the power of money and stop being scared of it in order to overcome that fear. You will become a slave to money if you don't learn it, which is unfortunate since most schools don't educate you about it. Lack of knowledge about money may result in such intense hunger and dread that it can drag you into life's worst trap of non-stop labor. My rich dad advised me to stop thinking with my emotions and instead learn to utilize them to think. Such emotional thinking includes statements such as, I need to find another job. I should be paid more. This work appeals to me since it is stable, rather than logically asking myself, is there anything I'm missing here? Our reality is what it is. Your occupation is often what generates your money. Your assets are your income if you're wealthy. How long could you exist if you stopped working today? And if I ask you to describe your wealth, you may laugh at me if I say, I no longer work for money. Instead, money works for me. We've reached the end of another video, and thank you for watching. I hope you have learned something from this video. If you like this video, do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. Thank you and goodbye.